Intoxicating hemp products have to be off store shelves by Tuesday. Ahead on Face the State, Governor Mike DeWine has banned the sale of the products for 90 days. He signed an executive order declaring a consumer product emergency. He says it will protect kids. Others say it will hurt businesses. Hear from both sides coming up. Also, feeling the pinch of the Trump tariffs, Ohio soybean farmers are facing a challenging harvest season as prices plummet. We'll look at what's led to the situation and some possible help on the way. Hear how a longtime Central Ohio farmer is dealing with the challenges. Plus, a place in Central Ohio where kids can just be kids, even though they're living with a serious illness. A camp experience to remember, all for free. The mission of Flying Horse Farms. The president and CEO joins me in studio to explain what it offers, how it all works, and what makes it possible. Thanks for joining us for Face the State. I'm Doug Petcash. Governor Mike DeWine took a major step he says will protect Ohio kids from dangerous products. He signed an executive order banning intoxicating hemp for 90 days. He also declared a state of emergency, saying these products are a threat to your health and safety. The products are sold in several forms: candy, cookies, and drinks. Hemp is a style of cannabis plant that differs from marijuana because of its much lower level of THC. Lawmakers have described it as diet weed, and hemp has been in a gray area for a while when it comes to regulation. Governor DeWine changed that. The ban officially goes into effect this Tuesday. 10 TV's Bryn Caswell has more on the governor's message and what business owners think about the ban.
At Rambling House, owner John Lynch makes a variety of non-alcoholic beverages.
There's a blueberry flavor.
But half of his business profits come from selling THC-infused drinks. Lynch is now bracing for impact after Governor DeWine's newly signed statewide intoxicating hemp ban. What is your biggest concern with this ban?
Oh, it'll crush us.
Will you be losing thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars?
Tens of thousands.
Tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, we're not big enough yet to where.
But it's still a lot of money.
Yeah, it just creates a cascading effect for us for production and ordering of cans, ordering of supplies.
Governor DeWine says the ban will protect Ohio's youth, adding that most hemp products sold in the state target children, like knockoff Sour Patch Kids, branded as Stoner Patch Gummies. Doctors say the number of accidental poisonings from these products has risen sharply, with 90% of exposures to children 6 and under needing hospital care.
I think the danger to our children is clear, and I'm taking action today to protect Ohio's children. These children are vulnerable to these potent knockoff products that are on sale today across the state of Ohio.
Shoppers who like to buy these products are now stocking up before they're no longer available.
Apparently they're making this change to protect children. I don't really see that being a possibility when you can still buy alcohol at a corner store.
Owner of Aardvark Wine and Beer, Donnie Austin, says he's been trying to clear out his hemp product as fast as he can. He just hopes his ban pressures state lawmakers to create regulations.
An outright ban seems excessive versus trying to come up with regulations and permitting for the right people to have the product in their hands like we do with wine and beer.
That was Bryn Caswell reporting. Governor DeWine says those selling these intoxicating hemp products have until Tuesday to sell it or give it back to distributors. After that, businesses will be fined $500 every day the product remains on their shelves. Now, after the 90 days, lawmakers will either decide to extend the ban or end it. At a State House news conference, hemp advocates said they have been pushing for regulations such as age restrictions, which they already practice, but say an outright ban is bad for business and a government overreach. They say they understand DeWine's good intent, but that his move is misplaced, penalizing businesses as opposed to those who actually make the products. They also say prohibition doesn't eliminate demand. It only pushes people into unsafe, unregulated channels. Here's how Republican lawmaker Tex Fisher described the potential impact of DeWine's decision.
This is an issue that needs addressed with a scalpel, and he's taking a machete approach. And as a result of that, I think we're going to see hundreds of millions of dollars of people's products and inventories be destroyed and seized by the Department of Agriculture. According to this order, we're also going to see thousands of jobs and hundreds of small businesses potentially permanently eliminated within a week.
And of course, we'll continue to follow the impacts of Governor DeWine's ban on intoxicating hemp products. Early voting for the November 4th election is now underway at Board of Elections offices in all 88 counties. Voting started Tuesday across the Buckeye State. While there are no national races, there are very important local races and issues you can cast your vote on at the ballot box. Elections officials say they're expecting a lower turnout as usual compared to a presidential or gubernatorial election.
We're all busy on election day. We have to work. We have kids, so it's easy to come. Right now, you've got plenty of hours to come up. You can set your schedule.
And you can check your local Board of Elections website to find out when the polls are open. To vote in person, make sure to bring a valid photo ID such as your driver's license, state of Ohio ID, U.S. passport, or military ID. Secretary of State Frank LaRose has some advice for people planning to vote in the November 4th election. Vote by absentee ballot. He explains how that will help you make the most informed decision possible.
I think we can admit, even those of us that are, actively cover politics or those that are involved in it, sometimes when you look at your ballot in an odd numbered year like 2025, you may get down to the judges and the school board candidates and you may think, gosh, I don't know who any of these candidates are. You don't want to guess. That's not a good feeling. This is a great reason why you should vote absentee. Consider requesting your absentee ballot. Go to our website, voteohio.gov, print off the form, mail it in. And when you vote absentee from your own kitchen table, you're allowed to cheat on the test. You can simply Google these candidates, make a well-informed decision, or if you want to go vote in person through the 4 weeks of early voting or on election day, you can go to our website, voteohio.gov, and print off your sample ballot. You can see exactly what your ballot's going to look like. You can take 15 or 20 minutes to do a little bit of research, and that way you know you'll be casting an informed ballot, whether you choose early voting, absentee voting, or election day.
Now, one thing the city of Columbus is hoping voters go for is a $1.2 billion bond package. Money is set aside for affordable housing, public safety, and infrastructure improvements. 10 TV's Colin Dorsey went out on a rainy day last Tuesday to take a closer look at the housing the city plans to build.
A bond doesn't raise your property taxes. Basically what it does is it authorizes the city to take out a loan at a certain rate and then pay it back later. The city's turned to this to build affordable housing over the last few years. And I wanted to find out if the people living in these completed affordable housing units actually found them affordable.
This is the largest investment in housing in the city's history.
$500 million. That's how much of the city's $1.2 billion bond package is going toward affordable housing construction. Columbus residents approved bonds in 2019 and 2022 for affordable housing, but much smaller amounts. Those bonds have already been put to work.
Affordable housing bonds have supported the construction of more than 4,000 rental units in our city.
Just to list a few, Topiary Park Crossing, aptly named for being across from Topiary Park at Town and Washington. There's the Sinclair Apartments off Sinclair Road. And the equipment is waiting to start here on Core Place in Linden on these homes. Today, I stopped by one of the completed properties to see what residents were saying.
It really isn't affordable because at the end of the day, you're still paying more than what you would pay to get your own house.
Trina Murphy says with her Section 8 voucher, she's still paying about $500 per month.
But you still can't survive. You're still having to worry about, having to pay most of your paycheck to here, and if you don't have the help, then what are you going to do?
Others in the complex told me they feel it is more affordable than some of the other options in the city. The complex lists its rates and income requirements on its website. For a 4-person family, 2 parents and 2 kids, they have to make less than $87,200 to live here. A 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom unit starts at $1,149 per month. If you live in Columbus, this is one of the issues that'll appear on your ballot come Election Day, November 4th. In Columbus, Colin Dorsey, 10 TV News.
The bottom line for Ohio farmers is not looking good. Soybean prices are down as President Trump's tariffs on imports continue. China bought more than $12 billion worth of soybeans from the U.S. in 2024, according to U.S. Agriculture Department data. This year, China has bought none, and harvest season is well underway. I went to Pickaway County to get a closer look at how Ohio farmers are feeling the pinch of tariffs on the state's largest cash crop.
Yes, we were harvesting last night when the rain came. We like to get our equipment in.
John Hoffman says farming is in his blood.
But I knew from the time I was 2 years old following my dad that farming was my passion.
Hoffman farms a few thousand acres in Pickaway County, including fields of soybeans like this one. He says he's been hit by a double whammy this year: lower prices because of tariffs and lower yield because of the weather.
China was one of our biggest buyers of soybeans, but now with the 20% tariff enacted, our beans just aren't competitive.
Hoffman says he is losing $1 to $2 per bushel of soybeans. He produces about 100,000 bushels.
And you multiply that across the bushels and it adds into hundreds of thousands of dollars.
According to the Ohio Soybean Association, Ohio farmers plant more than 5 million acres of soybeans. It's the state's largest cash crop, contributing more than $7 billion to the economy. The association says Ohio does not export as many soybeans to China as other states, but the lack of access to the Chinese market is lowering prices for all U.S. beans. What do you do with the soybeans now if you're not being able to sell them to China?
Well, we can sell them just at a lower price.
Tuesday, former Democratic Senator Sherrod Brown, who is now running for the seat held by Republican Senator John Husted, came to Hoffman's farm to talk with him about the challenges farmers are facing and to push the Trump administration to scale back the tariffs on China.
Because of what it's done with China's response to them, and farmers want to farm in the free market.
CBS News is reporting the Trump administration is considering a financial aid package for farmers of more than $10 billion that could be rolled out soon. Hoffman says he always favors the marketplace to make his revenue, but the marketplace is down.
If an aid package comes, I'll obviously accept the money because we do have to make up for income somewhere.
Brown also supports aid with one condition.
I support helping them but I want the government to quit creating these situations.
On social media a few days ago, President Trump floated the idea of using a portion of tariff receipts to help farmers, saying he, quote, will never let our farmers down.
As a producer, there's not a lot we can do. Put faith in our leaders that something gets accomplished.
I also reached out to Senator John Husted for comment on the situation facing farmers. In a statement, he said in part, my record shows that I support Ohio's farmers and consumers. I voted for the working family tax cuts, which allows farmers and job creators to immediately expense investments in new factories, capital investments in machinery and equipment, and in research and development, all of which the Democrats opposed. Still ahead on Face the State, archery, fishing, swimming, storytelling, all the things that make going to camp so great. There's a place in Central Ohio that's making sure no child misses out, even if they have a serious illness. And later, many people may feel they hit the jackpot when they met their spouse. Now, getting married might bring you a nice chunk of change. An Ohio lawmaker is proposing a marriage bonus. We'll explain. Kids should be able to play and laugh and make friends and have all kinds of fun. It's a time to be carefree. There's a place in Central Ohio that's been making sure kids with serious illnesses can experience that carefree joy too and just be a kid. For 15 years now, Flying Horse Farms in Mount Gilead has been giving children with serious illnesses and their families a camp experience they'll never forget, all at no cost to them. Camp organizers say the facility provides a safe place for children with a range of diagnoses to play, make memories, and relax away from sterile hospital rooms. Activities include archery, fishing, rope courses, campfire storytelling, and more, along with on-site medical support so children undergoing treatment don't miss out. Flying Horse Farms relies on donations, and generous people really came through at the recent campfire fundraiser. For the first time, the event raised more than $1 million to support year-round programming. And joining me now to talk about the mission of Flying Horse Farms is President and CEO Nicole Dunn. Nicole, thanks for being here today.
Happy to be here. Thank you.
So what can you say about that outpouring of support for campfire?
You know, like we say at camp, we nailed it.
Yeah.
The community showed up. We were celebrating 15 years. And it was the 5th year that we've held the annual event on site in Mount Gilead, which is the best way to introduce the community and our donors to immerse themselves side by side with campers. And while we hit $1 million the last 2 years, like you said, it was a record because we broke it.
Yeah.
And more than $1 million, which is awesome because every camp experience is at no cost to families.
And so you had, what, 600 people
Just
or
over
so
600
showed up?
guests.
And that's $1 million for that event. What does that money mean for what the program is able to do?
Yes. So the burdens and the barriers that families are living with day to day when they have a child living with a serious illness, the last thing they need to worry about is, can my kid go to camp? Is my child going to make a friend? All the things that we think about in childhood, and we believe every kid deserves the joy of childhood, and that should not be any different for a child that has a medical complexity. So being able to underwrite the cost of just childhood, friendship, memory making, that is what takes care of all of our operating expenses.
So would that kind of encapsulate the mission of Flying Horse Farms?
Yes, the mission is, hope, healing, thriving, but really it's for every kid, as you said, to have the freedom to just be a kid, to disrupt the day-to-day routine of whether it's a hospital visit, understanding the medications that they're taking, and putting that really in the back seat. And when you walk it through what we refer to as the hole in the wall, when you come to Flying Horse Farms, it's just a magical place that you get to make a friend, walk down a center path, go on a high ropes course, even if you have a medical device. We bring the medication out to you, and it's just about being a kid.
So I mentioned some things there, but what do you offer in these camps for the kids?
Just about anything that you could think of that you'd want in childhood. So while you've got fishing, you've also got a high ropes course. We've got a zip line. We have a thermal regulated pool. So if there's a child living with sickle cell, so a blood disorder that goes into pain crisis when the temperature changes. It's hot in the summer, you jump in the pool because you want to cool off, there's going to be pain crisis. So we heat the pool. We have a sauna right next to it because then you're going to be chilly when you get out. You can thermal regulate. So we've got golf carts that take you everywhere. We've got arts and crafts. In the dining hall, we've got singing and dancing before just about every meal. And yes, we also have siesta time, which is that calm quiet. And we've learned that there's a lot of kids that also just like hanging in a hammock and they want that calm.
So I understand you have different camps for different diagnoses so that you can make sure you have the correct experts on hand to help them out. Is that right?
Yes, spot on. So we're running and doing programming April through November. So there's never really an off season. It's always preparing, recruiting, and preparing for the next season or debriefing lessons learned. So in the summer, our core programs that you're talking about are going to be diagnosis specific. So there's going to be a heart camp week. There's going to be hematology, oncology, GI, pulmonary, rare disease, transplant, because those are very unique needs that we want to make sure that medical complexity and care is part of safety first. We also ensure the fact that more than half of the kids that are coming in have a co-occurring mental or behavioral health diagnoses, or we have a primary mental health camp as well. So we make sure that we're complementing all of that expertise wrapped around the programming of camp.
How big is the need for this? How many kids, families have you helped in the 15 years now?
Yep, so we're serving over 12,000 camper experiences to date. We're hovering around 1,000 camper experiences a year, and that's not even hitting the need. There's well over 600,000 kids living with a serious illness just in the state of Ohio. And to our knowledge, we're still one of, if not the only, at no cost at this high acuity serving need, camp like ours in the Midwest.
Wow, so you are statewide,
We are.
right? So how do the families find you, or how do you find the families so that they know or you can find them for this experience?
Yes. Well, right. Always the plug for our website, but they're going to hear it first probably from their hospital caregiving team. So from their providers. So whether that's a physician, a nurse, a social worker, a child life specialist in the hospital. Our hospital partnerships are critical to ensure that endorsement of safety. Because when you're a parent and you hear that diagnosis of your child, the last thing you're thinking about is, I'm going to drop my child off for 5 days in the care of somebody else when they may not even be able to spend a night away from home except a hospital room. So our hospital champions are critical. And then frankly, it's the parent-to-parent recommendation. When another parent is able to have that respite and say, like, this was life-changing for our family, and they meet another parent, that's what brings them along.
I can't imagine the anxiety of being a parent and dropping off a child in that. And then, once they come through the other side of it,
that's right.
When you see that, what do the families tell you about what it's meant for their child or for them to even take a breath?
Yes, it is. It's exactly that, taking a breath. So imagine holding your breath. And if you are, for every child that comes, when we talk about 12,000 experiences, 1,000 a year, every one of those kids has a parent. Every one of those parents' day is going to be measured by how happy or how safe their child is. So when they wake up in the morning, the phone rings in the middle of the day and their child's at school, the first thing they're thinking about is, are they okay? Did they sit by anybody at lunch? Oh, they're having to isolate. Oh, we just spent another week in the hospital. Those friendships aren't there. And yet it's going to be a mom who says, hey, this is the first time that I'm seeing that smile on my kid in a really long time. Or when dad says, I haven't heard a laugh like that since we started going to the hospital. And that's what we mean by every kid deserves to have joy in childhood, because every parent needs to see their kid happy.
We only have a short time left.
Yes, sir.
What makes this all possible, and what do you need to keep going?
What we need is the financial support, but we also need volunteers. So it's going to be time, talent, and treasure. We want the time invested from the community to understand us. We want the talent of anybody can volunteer. So
You need about 600 volunteers.
We need about 600
right?
volunteers throughout the year. If you can come for a week, great. If you can come for a weekend, our fall weekend programs start today. So we welcome families this afternoon, and check out our calendar. And then, like I said, the financial support. So time, talent, treasure, there's a place for everybody to be part of the Flying Horse Farms camp community.
Time, talent, and treasure. It's an easy way to remember
Easy
it
way
as
to
well.
remember it.
And if you want more information, you can just search Flying Horse Farms online. It's really easy to find.
It is.
Nicole, thank you so much, and congratulations on
Appreciate
Campfire.
that.
You're welcome. Well, still ahead on Face the State. What do you think about getting $1,000 for getting married? A state lawmaker is proposing a $1,000 marriage bonus. Next, why he thinks it's a good idea to invest in people who tie the knot. If you're going to the chapel and you're going to get married, you could soon get a financial reward from your boss. This proposal by a Republican lawmaker in Ohio offers tax credits for employers who pay their employees at least $1,000 when they tie the knot. 10 TV's Carla Rogner explains how the marriage bonus would work.
Whether you're making an appointment at the courthouse or planning a big soiree, getting married can get expensive. But now one Republican lawmaker wants to pay you for making the big commitment.
It was so beautiful. It was a perfect day.
Yeah, it was a really perfect day.
Newlyweds Sam and Molly are in their honeymoon phase after their Saturday wedding.
I feel like it just felt right, and we knew that we wanted a life together, and we just wanted to celebrate that.
They didn't need any extra incentive to make the commitment.
Marriage is such a personal thing. It's odd to think about being compensated in some way for it.
But Representative Josh Williams wants couples to get $1,000 when they get hitched.
Our interest is only in looking at the studies which show a correlation between family structure and the social and economic outcome for children.
His proposal in the Invest in Marriage Act includes an income tax credit for employers that provide at least $1,000 bonus to employees who get married.
So you think it would actually incentivize people to get married?
I think it will send a clear message that Ohio is investing in individuals getting married, having children, setting up a foundation here in Ohio and raising a family.
This comes as marriage rates are declining nationwide. Census data shows married couples made up 47% of households in 2022. That's compared to 71% 50 years ago. Representative Williams has introduced a series of similar bills in what he's calling his Family First agenda. In addition to the marriage bonus, he also wants to introduce bonuses for having a baby and credits for IVF.
If it goes the way that I want, eventually my intention is to wrap this all into one big bill and get it through the Finance Committee and get it to the floor and hopefully to the governor's desk.
Right now, the Invest in Marriage Act is in the very beginning stages. It has been handed over to committee for review. Reporting in Columbus, Carla Rogner, 10 TV News.
Carla, thank you. And thank you for joining me this week for Face the State. I'm Doug Petcash. I'll see you next Sunday at 11:30. Hope you have a great day.